When we come to see the teddy bear are here to play, if you don't come play with us.
In the quiet corners of Eastern European homes, long after the fire has dimmed and the last footsteps fade from the wooden floor, there is said to be a presence that does not sleep. Not a ghost, not a demon, but something older than both. It is called the Domovoi, and for centuries across Russia, Ukraine, Poland, and the Balkans, families have believed that every home is born with one, or inherits one. The word Domovoi comes from the Slavic word dom, meaning home. This spirit does not wander forests or graveyards. It does not attach itself to ruins or battlefields. It lives inside houses. In pre-Christian Slavic belief systems, every space in nature had a spirit. Forests had guardians, rivers had watchers, fields had presences, and the home, the most important place of all, had the Domovoi. It was believed to be the spirit of an ancestor or a primordial household guardian that attached itself to a family line. Some traditions said it resembled the oldest male in the household. Others claimed it was small, hunched, covered in hair, with glowing eyes that could see in complete darkness. It was said to live behind the stove, beneath the floorboards, inside the walls, or in the attic rafters where no one looks. And it watches, always. If a family was peaceful, respectful, and kept their home in order, the Domovoi protected them. It warned of fires, it kept thieves away, it frightened off malevolent spirits, it even nudged sleepers awake before danger struck. Families would leave bread, milk, porridge, or salt overnight near the stove as a gesture of respect, not worship, acknowledgement, because the Domovoi was known to be extremely sensitive. It hated loud arguments, it hated disorder, it hated laziness, and above all, it hated being ignored. When angered, the guardian changed. Old accounts describe a shift in atmosphere before anything visible happens, a heaviness in the air, a sense of being observed. Then, small disturbances begin. Footsteps in empty rooms at night, pots falling from shelves, doors opening slowly on their own, blankets pulled off sleepers, hair tugged while someone is half asleep. Livestock would fall ill, children would wake screaming, adults would complain of restless sleep and strange dreams of a small figure standing in the doorway. You were never supposed to see it clearly, only glimpses, a shape moving where shadows shouldn't, a small outline in the corner of your eye, something watching from the doorway when you wake in the middle of the night. In many Slavic homes, there were unwritten rules. Never whistle inside the house. Never go to bed after an unresolved argument. Never move into a new home without inviting the Domovoi to come with you. Never mock its existence. Before moving, families would speak aloud, inviting the Domovoi to follow them to the new house. They believed if they forgot, the spirit might stay behind, or worse, a different one might already live in the new place. Because if you disrespected the Domovoi, it would not leave. It would stay, and make sure you regretted it. Some stories say the Domovoi sits on the chest of sleeping people, watching their faces from inches away. If the person wakes and sees it, illness follows within days. Others say it whispers in the ears of sleepers, sounding like distant voices in another room, voices you can't quite understand. There are accounts of people waking at the exact same time every night for weeks, always sensing movement just beyond their vision. 3:17 a.m. Always. Folklore lists the signs carefully. Objects disappearing and reappearing in strange places. Footsteps in empty rooms at night. Sudden cold drafts in closed spaces. Pets staring into corners and refusing to enter rooms. The persistent feeling of being watched. Repeated waking at the same time every night. The Domovoi does not scream. It does not throw things violently. It makes you feel that you are not alone in your own home, and that feeling grows, slowly, until the house no longer feels like yours. In several 19th century rural accounts from Eastern Europe, families described abandoning homes because of persistent disturbances they could not explain. Priests were called, blessings were performed. Nothing changed. The elders would say quietly, "You angered the Domovoi." They believed the spirit had been neglected for too long. The solution was not exorcism, it was apology. Offerings were left. Words were spoken into empty rooms. Peace was restored within the household, and the disturbances stopped. Imagine this. You wake up suddenly at 3:17 a.m. You don't know why. Your room is silent, but something feels different, heavier. You turn toward the wall, and for a moment, just a moment, you feel like someone is standing beside your bed, watching you. You blink. Nothing is there. You tell yourself it's imagination. You go back to sleep. The next night, you hear a soft movement in the hallway, like a small footstep. Too light to be a person. Too deliberate to be the house settling. It stops when you listen. The next morning, a cup you left on the table is on the floor. You don't remember touching it. Your pet refuses to enter the kitchen. You start waking up at the same time every night, 3:17 a.m. You recently moved into this place. You never greeted it. You never acknowledged whatever might have already been there. In old belief, if you move into a home without inviting the Domovoi to accept you, you are a stranger in its house. So, why is the Domovoi so unsettling? Because it doesn't need to appear. It doesn't need to harm you directly. It just needs to make you feel like you are being quietly judged inside the place you're supposed to feel safest, your home. It turns comfort into unease, familiar rooms into watched spaces, silence into something that feels crowded. And according to folklore, the Domovoi never leaves unless invited. It can stay for generations, watching families live, argue, grow old, and die from inside the walls. Tonight, when you turn off your lights and the house goes quiet, listen carefully to the small sounds you usually ignore. The faint creak in the hallway, the soft thud you can't explain, the feeling that you are not alone in the dark. Because if the old stories are true, you were never alone to begin with.